Hey everybody, what's going on? Today we're going to be talking about Hakkorhn Smashlord. He is another legendary champ that I want to shed a little bit of a spotlight on. I don't think he gets enough love, and after the Chamfort video, you guys really seem to like that. I really appreciate the support and the engagement on that one. That lets me know that you guys like this series, that you like these kind of off-meta champs getting shown a little love. So we will definitely keep it going. I have a lot more on the list. If you didn't see, I pulled in Ellen Errol recently. I will definitely be doing something with her soon as well. So be on the lookout for that. But for today, the star of the video is Hakkorhn Smashlord. I think he is such a fantastic support, and it's another example of a champ that I just don't think a lot of players realize how much you can get out of him because he's not meta, right? You're not seeing him in a lot of speedrun teams. You're not seeing him in a lot of in-game arena teams. And he offers so much to a fight. He will immediately level up your account if you're earlier or mid-game and don't have... Even if you do have some supports built, he just brings so much support with his A2. On top of the damage he can bring with his A3, he's an interesting mix of a champ and so easy to build. If we take a look at his base stats here, he's got more base HP than Chamfort, right? Almost 24,000 base HP, over 1,100 base defense, 100 base speed, so right around the baseline or the average on that one. But he just scales so easily. He is so hard to kill. And he just recently got a buff that makes him even harder to kill. His A3 used to put him in a position, in a situation to get killed because he sacrificed 50% of his HP. Now it's just 25, and with a triple immortal set especially, he heals himself right back up, so it's not that big of a deal. On top of the fact that he's just really tanky anyway, okay? So I'm going to show you a couple of different builds. I'm going to give you a couple of different ideas on how to set this guy up and how to use him. We're going to start, all we've done is taken the gear that was on Chamfort and moved it over here, okay? Literally the same gear, and then the banner roughly in the same position, right? A little bit of speed, a little bit of HP, and then it's an HP banner, okay? So I left the accessories off of him just again to kind of emphasize a point. I didn't bother 16ing any of the gear. Again, same exact gear that was on Chamfort. And this is what we're looking at, right? Again, well over 70,000 HP, easily over 70,000 HP. Defense is good, defense is higher as well. And you'll see, he's just real hard to kill. You're probably not gonna see him die, right? Unless you're just trying to drag your account a little further than it is. But like I said, he will level up your account at most stages of the game. And even if you don't have great support legendaries later in the game, he can fill in that role nicely. So he's got an A1 stun, not something I would really worry about building for. The chance on it is really great. However, it's not really what I would focus hard on. He'll land it anyway, and it'll be a nice bonus, but again, not something you really want to focus on in the build unless you just have the accuracy to spare. A2 is really where his bread and butter is. Removes all debuffs from all allies, then places block debuffs, then heals all allies, and then does extra heals based on how many debuffs he removed. He also heals based on his own HP, so it's going to be real beefy, especially if you've got damage dealers or something on the team. It's basically going to be a full heal most of the time, especially if you remove the debuff, because now we're talking about 25% of his max HP, which is, you know, beefy, right? That's a lot. And again, you can probably get his numbers higher than this in most stages of the game, unless you're very early game, but just do what you can, right? Speed on the boots, HP percentage on the gloves and armor, and then in your substats, be looking for speed and HP percentage, defense percentage, and a bonus. Resistance is probably not a bad idea to look for as well, because he is your cleanser. You want to try to avoid your cleanser getting locked down, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But fantastic support skill, and I believe they recently fixed him, so now he does everything in the correct order. So if you've got like a Tormund on the other team, for example, now Hakkorhn will remove all the debuffs and then place the block debuffs and then heal, which means when the heal happens, if it was to proc Tormund's passive, it now blocks the freeze, right? So really cool skill there. And then on the A3, sacrifices HP equal to 25% of his own max HP, then attacks all enemies. Damage inflicted is equal to 50% of his max HP. The attack is always a normal hit. It will happen even if it kills him, right? Now, again, this used to be a much bigger deal when he sacrificed 50%, because that meant if he was under 50% of his health, he was going to kill himself. You are rarely going to see this dude under 25% of his max HP. He's just so tanky. He's doing this often enough. If you're running in with someone like an apothecary or something, they're going to keep him healed up. I haven't seen him. I've been testing him out a lot. I haven't seen him kill himself with this once. Okay. And then we've got an HP lead that is HP in all dungeons by 33%. So not quite the chamfer lead, but it's still a very beefy HP lead, right? And it shoots his HP up even further beyond what we already have it. So we're going with the triple immortal set on him. Another set that wouldn't be a bad option for this guy is a reflex set, okay? If we take a look at the gear for any of my my newer players here, reflex, 30% chance to reduce random skill cooldown. So that means every time he gets a turn, there's a chance it's going to reduce the cooldown on this skill. And again, you want him doing this as often as possible because enemies are going to be putting up debuffs, right? You want to get rid of the debuffs, whether it be Dragon or Ice Golem or wherever it be, the poisons and the freezes and the defense downs and all of the things that happen in a dungeon run. The more often he does this, the more often he gets rid of those, the more likely your team is to be successful, right? So reflex set is not a bad option on this guy either, but I figure you're probably going to have some better immortal gear from the earlier stages of Clan Boss than you will reflex gear right out of the gate. But it's something to consider, right? Since you can't book him up and reduce the cooldown of this, which is actually kind of a plus if you ask me, because tomes are very valuable. Tomes are kind of hard to come by. There's no real need to book him, right? It's nice to bump the heal up, but it's not crucial. You can really get away with not booking this dude and still get everything out of him you need. It would be cool to reduce the cooldown here so he could do more damage a little bit more often, but you're generally going to be building damage around him, so it's not that big of a deal. So the really nice thing about this guy is you just slap some gear on him and get everything out of him that you can get out of him, okay? Reflex gear is something to consider. If you want to take a quick peek at the masteries I put on this dude, we went down the defense tree, let him place a leech when he happens to place that stun, right? Just a nice little bonus. Other than that, it's a lot of damage reduction, heal increasing, things like that. Over here, we've got HP. We increase the amount of heals he does. There's a turn meter when buffs expire, Lore of Steel, to give that immortal set a little bit more of a bump. Chance to reduce skills. It won't happen very often, but when it does, it'll be nice. We want to extend buffs because he does put up block debuffs, and if you can get that extension on a block debuffs, there's going to be a much smaller amount of time that your team doesn't have that on. And then we just went with the HP to just bump the HP up, you know what I mean? We're not really trying to get, you know, Giant Slayer / War Master tier 6 mastery damage out of this guy. So we went defense support tree. And again, I'm going to show you some other stuff after this, but I want to go ahead and pop in, show you some of the PvE stuff that this guy can do. And then when that's done, I'll show you a different build on him, and we'll talk a little bit about how you can use him in Arena. So real quick, we're going to show him soloing Brutal 12/7. He could 3-star up through Brutal campaign for you very easily. I don't know that he would be soloing Nightmare, but he's probably a very good partner for getting that done. But if you've got him, even with very mediocre gear, he's a very easy Brutal campaign 3-star candidate. All right, so here's the first Ice Golem run. I just kind of threw some champs in. Just, again, the point is really more to show a carry than to show you an Ice Golem team. So we put Banshee in, who's going to go down fairly quickly. We've got Coffin Smasher in. We've got Apothecary in because Apothecary is the G. And then I figured we'd throw Jotun in for just for fun. Again, just to kind of show that Hakkorn's going to carry even if members of the team drop, right? We tried to throw Banshee in because I thought maybe she'll speed the run up a little bit. Maybe she'll bring a little bit of utility. She's just so squishy, and I didn't want to throw insane gear on her. But she's probably not that hard to keep alive if you focused her. But again, that's not the point. The point is Hakkorn. If we look at how infrequently there are debuffs up on the team, right? They pop up every now and then. He gets rid of them. Every now and then he gets to drop a pretty... I guess it would be about, what, 35,000? Between 35 and 40,000 is what his nuke is going to be doing, which is not a bad hit at all. And you see he's going to keep Coffin Smasher and Apothecary relatively safe. Apothecary is, of course, contributing to the run, but Hakkorn is definitely the carry here. So there's one run. We threw in Tyrell just because I want to show him a little love, and Armiger because I like Armiger too. You'll see, though, that if I'm remembering correctly, Armiger does drop in this one as well, so we didn't even get to use him at the boss, which is kind of aggravating. Yeah, he went down, and then we try to keep Banshee alive. I don't remember if Banshee stayed alive, but the utility that Hakkorhn brings is just, it's hard to outdo. Even when members of the team start dropping, it's real hard to get rid of this guy. Now, I don't think he'll be soloing it. I don't think you'll catch him soloing it like Chamfort did. Chamfort's kit kind of complements itself in a way that allows him to stay alive. I don't know if Hakkorhn could do it or not, to be honest. Maybe if you put some nutty gear on him, he would be able to do it, but he's he two-mans it very easily. I suspect that he and Apothecary could do it, to be honest. It would just take a really long time, and I don't see the need to do it. You get the idea from the two teams we were running. Now we're hopping over into Dragon, and you'll see basically all I did was swap Chamfort out for Hakkorhn if you watch the Chamfort video. So this is the same exact team that Chamfort carried through this dungeon, but now Hakkorhn is doing it. And something important to note about Hakkorhn's carry in this dungeon is that Chamfort brought his own attack down. So Chamfort made it easier on himself to carry this run. There's no attack down on this team, so Hakkorhn's having to sustain the team in spite of that. And he does a fantastic job of it, right? All he's doing is supporting. He does throw out damage occasionally with the A3, but he's supporting in spite of the fact that, again, this team is not built for this dungeon. You understand? We're not bringing in all of the important things that you would need to bring in to want to be successful here. The point is really to just kind of mash some champs together and show you Hakkorhn's carry. So Hakkorhn's carry here is pretty substantial, and I think in some ways more impressive than Chamfort's, right? Because Chamfort, again, sets himself up to carry a run with that attack down that he's got, and the defense down that he's got. Hakkorhn doesn't have those things, right? He's got the cleanse and heal, and then he throws out a little bit of damage with the A3, and occasionally when you're lucky he'll stun with the A1, but you're not going to see it a ton. You're not going to see it enough for it to matter, right? So considering that this team is not really, again, made for this dungeon, and Hakkorhn's having to carry in spite of not having an attack down, it's really not even a bad time if you're earlier in the game. So again, not so much a Dragon guide as much as just a display of Hakkorhn's carry. So here we are with a little bit of a different build. Now right out of the gate, you're going to notice that this gear looks insane, and the reason that it does is because I'm in gold 4. It would be very difficult for me to showcase something to you that or to build him the way you would use him in lower arena tiers, but the point's going to be the same. So keep in mind, he's built to be used in gold 4, but you follow this principle and just use him wherever you are, right? Use the gear you have, but I'm just showing you a way he can be used in arena that can kind of help you cut in and deal with some of these speed teams. You know, when you refresh your list and it's all arbiters and it's all cleaves, this is a way that you can try to step in and deal with that, okay? So understand there's a lot of 6-star gear, a lot of it's 16, some of it's glyphed. Again, we're looking at the principles of how he's being used here, not exactly the way that he's built or these stats, okay? But something to note is that his HP is not that much higher than with the triple immortal sets, and you'll see a lot of this gear is 16, right? We're very HP percentage heavy. It's still not much higher, so that's using those immortal sets. That's 45% extra HP. You get a little bit of HP in the subs. It shoots up real quick, and he's healing himself every turn. So just note the effectiveness of the immortal sets for your earlier game HP heavy champs, okay? But we're using a frenzy set, and a frenzy set gives turn meter for HP lost, okay? So you want him to still be pretty fast to do this. So you're still looking for a lot of the same stuff, right? Speed and HP percentage and all that. But the point is, when you have your Arbiter on the other team turn meter boost and you have all the damage come in, when he takes that first bit of damage, the faster he is, the better. The HP bar goes down, the turn meter goes up. This gives him an opportunity to cut in. So if you're running into cleaves that are using 2 damage dealers and, or you know what I mean? Like maybe there's a Kymar and they're gonna recycle and do their turn again. If you can survive that first hit, he's gonna get a turn. When he gets that turn, he removes all debuffs from all allies. He places block debuffs on all allies and he heals. So he saves the team from all the debuffs, he protects them from further debuffs, and he basically brings them back into the fight with a pretty beefy heal, okay? So on top of how he was built before, now you do want to focus resistance a little bit harder because it's going to be important that he doesn't catch a stun or a freeze or a sleep or whatever the debuff may be. If he catches a debuff, great. It's okay because he is going to cleanse it unless it's a crowd control debuff. So you really want to try to avoid having him catch those. So we went with resistance banner. And again, we want him to be very fast because maybe we get lucky and he's faster than the other team. Now he can just put up block debuffs. You know what I mean? And unless there's a Ceres or someone to strip him off, it's just up. But this way, it's kind of insurance. If you're faster, great. If you're not faster, when he takes a hit, he's probably going to get a turn out of the deal and be able to bring the team back into the fight. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to hop over. I'm going to show you what this looks like in action, just to give you an idea of how you can implement it. Again, don't be too focused on the build. Focus on the principles and the outline of the build, and apply it to wherever you are in arena. And it should help you deal with, you know, a lot of the speedier cleave style teams that you're running into. Let's take a look at the matchup here. I want you to remember that I'm in gold 4, so that is why the champs that I'm using are a little bit crazy, and the gear that I'm using is a little bit crazier. I have not put the time I would need to put into bringing a very budget team into gold 4 and be successful. So the point here is to showcase to you what Hakkorhn can do when he's built like this on this frenzy set. So again, take these principles and apply them to where you are in arena. You don't have to have this team. I just threw in a team that I thought would kind of be able to capitalize on what Hakkorn's going to do at the beginning of the fight and be successful. So just remember, you don't have to have Torment and Valkyrie and Ceres to run with him. This is just the team that I thought would complement him well for this situation. But again, we're showcasing Hakkorhn here. Now, on the enemy team, we've got an Arbiter, so we know they're going first. We have a Ray, who has a heavy hitter A3 that strips all buffs and places a freeze. We've got Valkyrie, who can output some good damage and brings good support. And then we've got Torment, who just does Torment things and gives headaches, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to step into this fight. We're definitely going to take first hit, and then Hakkorn's going to do his thing, and it's going to immediately put us back in the fight. So let's go ahead and get it started and watch what happens here. So there we go, just as we suspected. Now there's the big hit. If we take a look, Valkyrie caught the freeze. Everybody's health is very low. Things are not looking good for us right now, okay? But look how much damage Hakkorhn took, right? He's at 50% health, and his turn meter was already pretty high up there. He is definitely going to get to cut in now. He's been given way too much turn meter to not be able to cut in. So now you see that he's cut in. And even though the enemies are frozen, you look at the turn meters, they still didn't go yet. So that definitely gave him the turn. Now Hakkorhn is cleansed, healed. Now we're right back in the fight, right? Now we have the advantage because Hakkorhn was able to cut in and bring the team back into a situation where we're not in trouble, right? One more hit won't kill us now. And then a little bit of a beefy little nuke there just as icing on the cake. So it can be very effective, and it can really help you cut in and have some more success in arena in situations where you might not have the ridiculous amounts of speed that you need now in the arena, especially with them selling all these speed packs, you know. This is a way to deal with that without having to get an Arbiter up to, you know, 320 just to be average. So just another example of how he can be used. He can carry you really heavily through PvE content. He can be a very effective support in arena, and he can be used in other ways, but I just wanted to give you an example of something that maybe you haven't considered for arena, but that's it for that. And that's going to wrap it up. That's the end of our showcase for Hakkorhn Smashlord. I hope that I made a good enough case for you to pull him out of the vault if you've got him in the vault, because he is a fantastic champ. brings a lot of interesting things to a fight, and that support is nearly unmatched. The full cleanse, followed by block debuffs, followed by a heal. I don't know off the top of my head who else does that. I don't think anybody else does that all in one move. Maybe I'm wrong. So if I'm wrong, let me know who I'm forgetting about in the comments, but that's a crazy support. And the fact that you don't have to tome him to lower cooldowns or anything is just a bonus. You can pull him, you can pull him early game, throw some immortal sets on him, and immediately start getting a ton of support and a really good carry out of this dude. So if you liked this and it helped you at all, let me know in the comments. A thumbs up would be very much appreciated. It helps me out a ton, and it lets me know that you guys are digging the series. Same with the Chamfort vid. You guys killed it on the Chamfort vid, and I really do appreciate that. So keep it going. Let me know who else you'd like to see in the comments. I do have a couple of more champs on the list, but I am definitely open to you guys' suggestions on who you would like to see me showcase like this. So that's it. I appreciate you watching. I hope that it helped you, and I'll see you